5 seconds to go. Start. Following 7 years of preparation for a 15-day extravaganza, London is finally ready for its tryst with Olympic history, pound 10 billion of expenditure and a regenerated East End described by Jim White as derelict outpost to center of the universe in 5 years, but which continue to raise questions of rehabilitation for the original inhabitants and apprehensions over security. It has not been smooth for Londoners in the lead up to the world's greatest sports spectacle. Awful weather has not helped, and staging a successful Olympic Games will be a test of the organizers' mettle, as the newly created transport network ferries thousands of people from across the world to the Olympic Park in Stratford, and many thousands descend into the newly built Westfield Mall adjoining Olympic Park. Brand Olympics, currently valued at $47.6 billion and the second most valuable brand in the world after Apple, will also be on show. Questions like whether it is a simple sports competition or a global peace movement with serious political ramifications will be answered over the next 2 weeks as the world's best take center stage for the ultimate sporting glory. London is the first city ever to host the Olympics for a third time. Lucky, considering its past record, is not anything to be proud of. Soon after the Games ended 100 years earlier in 1908, Baron de Coubertin, founder of the modern games, had this to say: "It will be necessary to avoid copying the games of London." Graham Kent, author of the definitive book on the 1908 Games, agrees the London Olympics of 1908 were supposed to display the glories of the British Empire at its zenith, but they ended in uproar. Everything that could possibly have gone wrong did so. 1948 was little different. Known as the Austerity Olympics or the Make Do and Mend Games, organized in the aftermath of the World War II, the Olympics were not half as glorious as they are in 2012. At the same time, the spirit, which is so very essential to the Olympic movement, was very much on display. In the words of Emil Chetopek, star of the 1948 Games, it stood for the sun finally coming out after the war. The same spirit is in evidence in 2012. Despite a serious recession, the Olympic venues are excellent, and Britishers, not simply Londoners, are much enthused by the event. Despite a critical home media echoing fears of a security and transport meltdown, almost all events are sold out, promising packed stadiums and the very best sporting action. Bringing in much needed international tourists, the opening ceremony, choreographed by Danny Boyle, will see an unprecedented 204 nations and 2 athletes with no nationality march today under the banner of the 5 rings in the Olympic Stadium. Importantly, each of the 204 teams have women in their ranks, making the 2012 Games the first gender equal games in history. Boyle, too, is aware of the high stakes involved. He knows there is no chance of a retake, and the world will pounce on the smallest mistake. Stop.